Hi, it's Amy from the Ross Farm. I'm here for the Wool and Fiber Arts um, live sale for January, and we're trying to get it done. Whew, it's been a little bit crazy. I've got a live sale tomorrow in Cleveland, so I was setting up this morning, ran back here in time to do this. So, um, we are the Ross Farm. Our website is therossfarm.com. Anything that you see today that you would like to purchase, you need to pop over to therossfarm.com and select it there. We will have some photos popping up on your screen so you can get kind of a close up of what I'm showing you. Not exactly, but the same breed, same yarn. And we will be everything is available. You'll know exactly how many of each color over on the website. If you have any questions, you can post them down below. I have a friend that is supposed to be calling me with any questions, so if I happen to sound like I'm crazy, it's because she's in my ear giving me any questions that you might have. So feel free to ask questions. If I don't get to the comments, if something goes wrong and I'm not able to connect with my friend, I will pop on as soon as we're done being live and answer all your questions in the comments. So your question will get answered. It might just not get answered live. So, first of all, we are a fifth and sixth generation farm in southwestern Pennsylvania. My studio is in Ohio now. My son runs the farm in Pennsylvania. We raise heritage and rare breed sheep. We have been doing that about 15 years. You've probably seen me at Maryland Sheep and Wool or Rhinebeck or New England or DFW, any of the many Fiber Fests that we do. We're trying this because this is new and I like to try new things. So you can also follow us on social media. We are Ross Farm Fibers on Facebook here. You know that. We also now have a vlog slash podcast called Sheep and Wool School over on YouTube at Ross Farm Fibers. And on Instagram, we are Ross Farm. So let's get into it, shall we? I've brought a lot of stuff, and we're going to talk about all of it. I probably have the most breeds that you're going to find. 100% American wool, raised, processed, dyed, everything here in the U.S. Everything is either raised on my farm or the farms of some of my friends here locally. Um, it Several of the things qualify for Shave 'em to Save 'em. We are a provider. And several of the things also fit under the Rust Belt Fiber Shed or Chesapeake Fiber Shed umbrella. So I can answer any questions about that as well after we're done with this. Let's get into it. So the first one we're going to talk about today is Montadale. This Montadale yarn, this particular color is called Pika Pekka, and it is inspired by all different sweet pepper colors, and it is 100% Montadale. And the thing about Montadale, you probably haven't seen it, you may not have even heard of it, because it's generally considered to be a meat breed, and the folks who raise Montadales generally don't sell the fleeces or make yarn or roving from them. But I think it's delicious and squishy, just like peppers. So we have Montadale yarn in the shop on the website, and there are several different colorations of our Montadale. But the really cool thing about the Montadale is it was spun on the last remaining spinning mule in the United States, which I think is really cool. This looks really fat and puffy, but it actually knits up at a worsted gauge, and it is very woolen spun, so it has a lot of air trapped into the yarn, which makes it super warm and squishy. So it's really nice for hats and cowls and mitts, things that are going to take a lot of abrasion and a lot of abuse. So this is one of my favorites. That's our Montadale. This is my probably one of my top 5 yarns right now. This is our Border Leicester soft spun, and it comes only in 2 different colors because they're natural. This is a beautiful natural gray, and it also comes in a natural cream color. And it is a 2-ply worsted. It is absolutely squishy. It's very worsted spun, very lofty. I hope you can tell from the photograph that we put up just how squishy and delicious it is. It is so soft for a Romney. Romney is one of the long wools, so this has a very long staple length and will take a lot of abuse too. But being that it is a 2-ply woolen spun yarn, it is also very lofty and squishy. So again, Border Leicester soft spun. We also have Border Leicester Sport. Both are up on the website. This is our Romney, which is probably my 3rd favorite. It's another worsted weight 2-ply. It is 100% Romney. Romney is another long wool. It is less soft than the Border Leicester, but still pretty soft. It's not like wool bikini soft, but I can definitely wear this next to skin. And this is absolutely ideal for sweaters, especially something with cables or a lot of patterning, because it has this bouncy round structure. It's just delicious. It's really, really squishy, squishy, squishy. I'm loving our worsted weight yarns. The next one up is probably my favorite yarn that I have right now. And I just knit the Lollygag cowl with the next 2 yarns. Lollygag is over on Ravelry and probably other places too. Ravelry's where I have it. It is my favorite Cheviot yarn that we have right now. Now this is dyed in the wool, so it is a very homogeneous dye. And the cool thing about this is we did 6 different shades of dyed in the wool singles and then randomly plied them. So no 2 are the same. Some of them are very different. Some of them are very much alike. It just depends. But this is so much fun to work with, to watch the colors change. And you can have almost like 3 or 4 different yarns in one skein because of the random plying. So I use this as a dupe for any of the other dyed in the wool yarns that have the random ply like this. It's just a really, really fun thing to knit with. I did also knit up a swatch of one of our skeins. This is the one that has the 3rd ply that is white or natural. So it would be a skein more like this. And I love how marled the swatch knits up. It has so much visual texture to it that this is a DK weight yarn that you could use for a very simple sweater and still have a lot of visual interest. So that is one of my very favorite things. Next up is the one that I paired with it for that lollygag. And this is our UK Norfolk Horn yarn called Kevin. And it is also available on the website at therossfarm.com. And it is made from a breed of sheep from the UK, raised by my friends Anne and Robin. And Kevin was a ram that I met when I was over there, and I fell so in love with him that I had to make a yarn. So all of our UK yarns that I'm going to talk about are actually raised in the UK and milled in the UK. These are milled by the Natural Fiber Company, which is the makers of Blacker Yarns. If you've heard of Sue Blacker and Blacker Yarns, that was her wool mill. So I loved her yarns. They were so beautiful. So when I decided to do a project with my friends in the UK, we went straight to the Natural Fiber Co. to do our yarns too. So this is also a DK weight. Both skeins are 250 yards. Now, while we're in the UK, we'll talk about some of the other UK things I have, including the UK Wensleydale combed top, which we have two shades, a beautiful charcoal gray and one that is just slightly darker, nearly black. And I am obsessed with these. These are actually combed top, not roving, and they are raised by my friend James Perry and his business partner at a farm in the UK called Ashen Wensleydales. It's the largest flock of natural colored Wensleydales in England, and they are absolutely spectacular. So if you're a spinner, this is the comb top for you. If you are not a spinner, we also have Ashen, which is our Wensleydale yarn. Again, this has been spun by the Natural Fiber Co. in England, in the UK, and it is soft and shiny and just absolutely spectacular. Right now, this is the one that I am knitting with because I'm doing a test knit of a design that is going to come out from one of our designer friends in March. And she designed it in our Ashen Wensleydale. She fell in love with it at Rhinebeck last year and took it home with her and called me in December to tell me she had already got a design done. So it's in test knitting right now. I can't say anything more about it, but if you follow me on social and go on the YouTube channel and watch the vlog, you will see this as it progresses, and you'll get the big announcement as soon as that pattern drops. So this is also an Aran weight, which is a little heavier than worsted, but it's a semi-woolen or semi-worsted spun, so it is very smooth and delightful. Now, next up, we're coming back to the US, and this is one of my absolute delight in the fiber world. This is our Florida Cracker roving, which has been, we actually have Florida Crackers on the farm in Pennsylvania. We brought a few up from Florida, from one of our friends, and they are doing exceedingly well in Pennsylvania. Very, very pleased with them. It is softer than you think it's going to be and very, very, very springy. So it's got a lot of squish factor. I like it for next to skin, and I think it makes the best hat. It's one of those things that it's a sheep breed that developed fairly, and is sort of the, I'm going to say like the state sheep of Florida, because it is their native sheep. And it's just something you have to experience. We have the fiber, and we also have a yarn from time to time from one of our ewes called Babette. So you can keep an eye and see when that comes in stock as well. Now, this is probably number 4 on my favorite favorite yarns list. This is our Targhee yarn. Targhee is a fine wool. It's not quite as fine as merino. It was created using merino sheep, but blended with a different breed to give it a little bit longer staple length. So you won't have the difficulty with the Targhee that you can sometimes have with the merino because of the merino short staple length. Targhee has a longer staple length, but it still has that buttery soft squish factor that would make a good wool bikini. Um, this is definitely next to skin. This is one of my very favorite dyed yarns. I'm petting it. I'm sorry. It's so soft. I can't tell you. You know, you were all yarnies. You know, you just can't not pet and squish the yarn when you have the yarn in your hand. And I'm talking to you, so I have to touch and squish. But it is very, very buttery soft. This color is actually called aubergine, which is an eggplant deep purple. Absolutely divine. So if you're looking for something very soft, Targhee is one of the ones that I would consider. Now, for our spinning friends, speaking of soft, we have our dyed Border Leicester roving. And this is I want to say this is the strawberries colorway. It sort of reminds me of bubblegum. And the thing I love most about these dyed rovings is they are dyed in the wool and then they are carded. So there is, I'm not sure if you can see it. I think you can see it in the photo better than in this package. But there are just not exactly stripes, but sort of striations of lighter and darker fibers in the blend. So it makes a beautiful heathery yarn when you spin it up. You can spin it and blend it as much as you want, or you can try to preserve these striations and get much more of a heathery, textured visual with your spinning. So this is one of my new favorites as well. The dyed border Leicester roving. Now, next up, and I pulled the natural so you could see it as well. But the photograph that you're going to see is actually one of the dyed skeins. So this is our Clun Forest Light. And Clun Forest is another one of those sheep that is considered a meat breed. They are raised primarily for their large size and their ability to grow to market weight relatively quickly. This is a fingering weight yarn. It is delightfully squishy, would make excellent socks. The thing about the Clun Forest and other down and down-like breeds is that the Clun Forest has the natural ability to resist felting and abrasion. So it makes a really, really, really good sock yarn. And if you look at some of the dyed things that we've got on the website, it takes dye beautifully and will make awesome socks. You can do whatever you want with it, but this to me is a nearly perfect sock sock yarn. You will find that even if it is accidentally put in the washer and dryer by well-meaning folks helping you with your laundry, it will not show much shrinkage, usually less than 3% shrinkage. Um, so it makes a really, really good sock yarn. So next up is the Clun Forest Roving. We also have the Clun Forest in the roving form. If you would like to spin it yourself, you can also dye this. It is not great for felting. Your Border Leicester will felt extremely well if you're a felter. The Clun Forest and the Downs breeds are going to be much harder to felt. Wet felt, possibly. Needle felt, probably. But with a lot more elbow grease to get the job done. So Clun Forest, if you want to spin and knit your own socks, Clun Forest is the one for you. Now, we just have a few more, and then we'll see if we have any questions. I'm not quite sure. I haven't heard from my friend So I'm guessing she's having technical difficulties and is unable to join me today, but that's okay. We're going to plow on through and I'll answer your comments afterward if I can't figure out how to check them while we're still together. So this, this is a good one. So this is our Llama Rama, and it is 50% llama, 50% Romney. It is much softer than you think it's going to be. I had it in my head that llamas weren't exactly soft, that it was just alpacas that were soft, but this is a delightfully soft yarn. And it comes in several beautiful dyed shades. This is another one of the yarns that is dyed in the wool. So this is dyed as the llama and Romney fleeces, the Romney fleece and the llama blanket, are dyed and then blended at the mill and then spun into this lovely 2-ply fingering yarn. And it's just so special. And the thing I love about the dyed in the wool yarns is that you don't have to alternate skeins because they're all nearly identical. There can be a little bit of difference in the blending process, but not like you would get with um, a yarn that's dyed in the skein. So the difference there is dyed in the wool, the raw fleece is washed and then dyed, carded, and spun. And dyed in the skein, the raw wool is washed, carded, spun, skeined, and then dyed. So the difference lies in the dyed in the wool being blended so well before it's spun. So that brings us to the most beautiful sock yarn that we have. This is one of my favorite colors. Anybody who knows me knows that magenta, teal, turquoise, and purple are my colors. So I absolutely adore this. This color is called Sari, Sari. Um, and it's just the most beautiful mulberry, magenta, purpley goodness. And we have several shades of this. It is dyed in the skein, and it is a 90% Dorset, 10% nylon. So it doesn't really need the nylon to be a good sock yarn, but folks requested it, so these next two yarns have a little bit of nylon in them. But this is Dorset. Dorset is one of the down breeds. It is extremely hard wearing, extremely, it's very soft. It's much softer than you think it's going to be, but it is excellent for socks. And this one is called Dorset Dress. So the next one up, this is my favorite skein in the whole world. So this one is called Dorset Hike, and it is an 80-20, 80%. I always want to get it right because I've got so much going on in my head. 80% Dorset, 20% nylon. It can be washed and dried. And this particular colorway is my favorite. It's called Gummy Worms. And I want to knit something with this immediately. Everything else keeps jumping in front of it, but this, it's got some teal, it's got some of that beautiful mulberry, it's got some lighter kind of a mulberry shade, a little bit of an acid green, and sort of a rusty peach just for funsies. But this one, this is my favorite colorway. So again, Dorset Dress. The other one is Dorset Hike. Now, we also have from our farm our Willow, which is a Jacob Bulky. And this is one of my very favorites because if you've ever seen a Jacob sheep, you know that they are 2, 4, or 6 horned and black and white spotted, or kind of an oatmeal heathery gray and white spotted. That's a special color called lilac. But this is made from our traditional flock of black and white Jacobs. And what we do is we separate the fleece into the black portions and the white portions, and we spin those as singles and then ply them together to get this really fun black and white barber poled effect, um, which knit up really reminds me of the LL Bean rag wool mittens and hats and boot toppers and everything from my childhood. So this is another one of my top 5 yarns. I might have 7 top 5 yarns at this point, but we won't tell. It's okay. And if you don't want to use the yarn, we also have Jacob Roving so that you can spin it yourself. And this is really, Jacob is a medium wool, but it's really soft. I love it so much. I love the sheep. These are my son's favorite sheep. My favorite sheep have always been the Leicester Longwools and my Cheviots. But Drew loves his Jacobs and his Cheviots. So we're really excited to bring you some things from our Jacob flock. Now, we're getting to the end of our time together, so I want to get through these last couple of things. We have Tunis in 2 different ways. So this is a natural skein, but you're going to see photos of our Tunis bouquets, which are, it's either 5 or 6, I don't remember, sorry, of our natural dyed Tunis mini skeins bound up together. They're on the website at therossfarm.com. And then we also have full skeins of our naturally dyed Tunis, which, as the name implies, is dyed with things like walnuts and weld and daffodils and avocados. And that is really, really special. That's one of those things that it has so much meaning to me because everything is from the land. No chemicals in the dye process, except like naturally occurring things, like iron and copper and those sort of things. So check out the naturally dyed Tunis on the website. And while we just have a couple of minutes left together here, I wanted to mention that we are also a Louet dealer. So if you need a drum carder or a set of hand cards, combs, an inkle loom, a blending board, we have most of those things in stock, and anything that we don't have in stock, you can order and we will have it directly drop shipped to your home, straight from Louet. And, and my favorite thing, I just made these. So these go into all of the orders that come from us. It's a little thank you card. It has photos of some of our favorite sheep. We love all of our sheep equally, but these are just some really spectacular photos that we have of the sheep. And then on the back, it has our logo and it says, thank you so much. Because as I said, this is our livelihood. This is our greatest love. We are both so passionate, the 3 of us are so passionate about raising the sheep and continuing on with our Century Farm. The farm has been in our families, this particular farm has been in our family since 1894. My great-grandfather built the farm as it is today in 1910, but he bought it from his father, who bought it from his mother-in-law. So technically, the land has actually been in our family much farther back than that, but it was the other side. It has been the Ross Farm since 1894 and 1910, whichever you want to. And this is our 3rd family farm. My cousin is down the road on the 1830 Ross Farm, and a little bit farther down the road from that is the 1740 Ross Farm that was sold out of the family when the 1830 Ross Farm was built. So we have been raising sheep in southwestern Pennsylvania for just shy of 300 years. And we really, truly appreciate your support and every purchase that you make from the Ross Farm goes to continue the preservation of the land, the buildings. It's on the National Register of Historic Places too. So I think we're at the end of our time together. I'm going to go check all the comments, but I wanted to thank you so much for joining us for this little live sale that we're having today. And again, I hope you have a wonderful day and that you enjoy all the other presentations from all the other wonderful wool and fiber arts vendors. So we'll see you again soon.